Ladies and gentlemen, Fourth and Trollers, welcome back to Fourth and Troll Fantasy, the most entertaining fantasy football podcast on the planet. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And we are back with you after what has been an absolutely insane week of football. Week 10 was unbelievable. 11 of the 14 games in Week 10 were decided by one score in the fourth quarter. 6 of those 11 games were decided by last-second field goals. Unbelievable stuff we got in Week 10. I think my heart rate is finally settling down a little bit. Wes, how are you doing?
It was a surprisingly exciting weekend, given that some of the best football teams in the NFL were on a bye week this week.
Yeah.
And so at least we got some great football the whole week. Yeah. But I came out on, it was funny because a lot of my games were either I won easily or I lost bad. And so like come Sunday night, I didn't even care. I was like, I mean, everything's decided already. Yeah. So, but I got through. I'm in the playoff contention about all my leagues. I'm feeling okay. How are you, Noah?
Well, I'm doing all right. We did get some very good football. And Wes, in our league, we maybe most highly regard. Maybe we'll say it that way. I had Tua on a bye week. I had AJ Brown on a bye week. I had Puka Nacua on a bye week. I had Rashee Rice on a bye week. He's been a flex play for me from time to time in this league. I didn't have any of them. I scored 140 points still.
My goodness.
And still came up short of a win here on week 10.
Oh my
bringing this league, Wes, to me. I am 3-7 in this league, and I have scored the most points in the entire league through 10 weeks. Consistently, it just goes. I mean, so for fun, Wes. I was thinking about it. I was watching this Monday night game, and I was thinking about it feels like more weeks this season than ever before. I've had nights where it's like, all right, I need my Monday night miracle to happen, and I come like this close, and I've had so many nights of Monday nights me just sweating out Monday Night Football with Troy and Joe and sometimes Peyton and Eli, and just sitting there waiting for it to happen. And so I went back to week 1, and I went through the weeks that I lost, and I looked to see what happened to bring me these losses. So we'll go to week 1 here. A reminder: I have 7 losses in this league, and 5 of them came down to Monday night games. 5 of them.
Okay.
We go to week 1.
Jeez.
I'm watching Monday Night Football. I'm up 11
Bills,
points.
Jets, right?
Yes, Bills Jets. I'm up 11 points.
Yeah.
And my opponent has Garrett Wilson, and I think it's chalked up because we're about to see the second coming of Devontae Adams here. And then Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles 4 plays into the game. And I get strung along for 55 minutes just to watch Garrett Wilson make one of the best catches I've ever seen in my entire life.
Right.
He ends up scoring 15 points. I lose by 4. Week 4, Daniel Jones going up against the Seattle Seahawks at home throws a pick 6 instead of throwing to a wide open Darren Waller for a touchdown. And I lose by 5 points while scoring 157 points on the week.
Gosh.
And I lose
and you
by
have
5.
Waller.
And I have Waller. Yes, that would have Waller touchdown would have won me the week. Recently, week 8. I needed 15 points from Jacoby Myers on Monday night up against the Detroit Lions. Easy. He's done that every single week. He's done that every single week but one.
Yeah.
He had done that every single week but one. And at this point, I feel these ones coming. Because I half jokingly said, he's done this every week. So naturally, on Monday night, he's going to score 4 points. And I was too generous. He scored 2.9 points. He had 1 target in that game.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Yes.
That was brutal.
Yes. This one's more of an honorable mention. But week 9 last week, I scored 130 points and I lost by like 12
Nice.
to the only guy who would have beaten me in the league. There were people in our league winning
That's always
with
the
scores
best.
of 90 points, and I score 130 and lose. So that was a fun one. And this week we get, I have James Cook and Dalton Kincaid, and my opponent has Cortland Sutton. And I need them to outscore Cortland Sutton by 19. And because Cortland Sutton's genetics that he received from his mother gave him a size 11 shoe and not a size 12 shoe, I lose. Because he is able to keep his foot in bounds. And hey, listen, I know what you're saying. Maybe this is, want to give him some credit. It was a great catch. Fantastic catch of the year. But maybe I just blame Sean McDermott because his wildly efficient running back who proved it for 2.5 quarters of the night to be unstoppable against the Denver Broncos run defense. He fumbles, and not really fumbles, just gets the defender to make an incredible play against him. He gets stripped. He gets stripped by a defender who has 2 hands on the ball and just rips it out as like James Cook is standing still. It wasn't even poor ball security. It wasn't like he just let it fly. But he fumbles on the first play. And then we proceed to watch Latavius Murray and Ty Johnson get carries in snaps in this game while James Cook sits on the sideline for 3 drives. And he comes back in and immediately gains 30 yards on 4 plays. And it's like, would you look at that? Incredible. What an amazing thing. So I lose by 8 points. I lose by 7.8 this week with Tua on a bye week, with A.J. Brown on a bye week, with Puka Nacua on a bye week. Why? Because somebody wanted to give somebody a punishment for fumbling the football. Okay, Sean McDermott. Okay, suck an egg, dude. That's why you lost the game. Guess what? if you put James Cook in your offense for the 1/4 that you decided to bench him and put him in the doghouse, I wonder if you would have scored 3 more points in the game. You deserve this loss. My goodness, this is absurd.
Ooh, the heat is turned up on 4th and Troll.
Yeah, so it was a great week.
Episode 75 is spicy.
It was a great week.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man. Listen, we got a great show for you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hyped up and let down. Fluker for real. Waiver wire and a Thursday night football preview. Before we do all that, follow us on all our social media below. Make sure you're following us at 4th and Troll and on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, ring that bell. Let us know if you're also angry at Sean McDermott, because I am. So that'll be fun times this week to hear what he says about his decision making and what could have been with his stud running back on Monday night. Let's jump into the news, Wes. We got some things to talk about before we go into some Week 10 breakdown.
We do. Not a ton, but it's going to start out on a bit of a strange note. Let's first get the bye weeks ready for you. The Falcons are on a bye week. The Colts, the Patriots, and the Saints all have this week off. Plan accordingly. Okay, so here's the strange news. Michael Thomas, the Saints wide receiver, Michael Thomas was arrested on Saturday for allegedly pushing and threatening a contractor. He still played Sunday, as we saw, but we'll wait to see if there are any repercussions following their bye week. He is also dealing with an injury, so who knows if there actually is anything involved in there. But just to bring that to attention to those that have him, or Chris Olave maybe. Zay Jones, the Jaguars wide receiver that's been out for a long time, was also arrested last night on a misdemeanor and battery charges. Now, we will wait to see if there are any actions taken by the Jaguars or the NFL. That one seems more serious. But again, as of recording this episode, we don't know, but we will let you know next time on our Friday episode if there are any repercussions or whatever they may be. Okay, now, some player injuries, some things to discuss here. Derek Carr was carted off the field on Sunday with a right shoulder injury and a concussion. And then Dennis Allen said, concussion is just fine, and the shoulder checks out. So we'll see exactly what that means. Yeah. We saw Derek Carr just suddenly come back from a his arm was ripped off in one game and then still started. So who knows what kind of robotic medicine he has, but apparently it's all fine, even though it looks scary. Deshaun Watson exited Sunday's victory against the Ravens in a walking boot, but he says he'll be ready to play next week. Obviously, PJ Walker will start if Watson misses time, but keep that in mind. See how that transpires for the Browns quarterback situation. Ramondre Stevenson also missed a good portion of Sunday's game in Germany due to a back injury. Test came back negative, so that is good news, but there is some tightness is what the reports seem to be, so that will be monitored as well. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott will have the backfield to himself after having a pretty good game in Germany. Matthew Stafford is expected to play on Sunday against the Seahawks, and he will be playing through some pain reportedly, but that is great news for Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Bad news for the Bengals. T. Higgins is not expected to play Thursday. They got this Thursday game. We're going to do a preview of that and see who you should start. Risky starts, don't starts. But T. Higgins is probably not going to play. Expect him to not play. But we got some players that might be playing this week that we have been waiting to see in action again. Devon Achane and Justin Jefferson are expected to play this week. Achane began practicing Monday. Jefferson is in good progress to return. They're going to still see how his workload is like this week, but they are on track to return. I'm so excited. That's it for the news. Let's go over one of the most exciting weeks of football this entire season. Who got us hyped up? Who got us let down, Noah?
Dude, so many people got us hyped up. Some crazy performances, starting with the Dallas Cowboys. Felt like everybody, besides Tony Pollard, was getting into the end zone for this team. Unbelievable stuff there. Dak Prescott was lights out. Wes,
yeah,
I remember us talking about him on Friday. I don't remember if I think you had benched him, and I feel like what a difference. What a difference from week 1 to week 10 Giants Cowboys, because we were like, Dak's gonna
still won.
Throw 4 passes. Okay, that's good. But it was like Dak's gonna throw 4 passes.
I started Jared Goff.
Okay.
Goff did fine, but Dak Prescott was the best player of the entire week, which is amazing.
Dude. 404 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also had a rushing touchdown. He was insane. 46 fantasy points for him. His wide receiver 1, CD Lamb, 39.5 fantasy points, 11 catches for 151 yards and a touchdown and a rushing touchdown. It's his 3rd straight game of 10-plus catches and 150-plus receiving yards. He saw that his division rival, A.J. Brown, was setting records, and he decided, I got to step in here and do that too, because these guys are unbelievable. Remarkable. And then Brandon Cooks steps up out of nowhere. It's like, whoa, okay, what are we doing here? 32.3 fantasy points for Brandon Cooks. 9 catches for 173 yards and a touchdown. He was unbelievable. He was incredible. A couple of Chargers here. And then a couple, and then one Lion, because we got to talk about this matchup too. A high-scoring, crazy game, 41 to 38, 44 to 41, 41 to 38. I believe it's 41 to 38 final score.
I'll check.
Unbelievable stuff here. Justin Herbert, a fantastic game, 36.4 fantasy points. What we wanted to see coming off of some down games.
41-38.
Yeah, insane. 323 yards and 4 touchdowns for Justin Herbert. And his wide receiver 1 was wide receiver 1, baby. The top wide receiver on the week, Keenan Allen. 40.5 fantasy points. I believe it is his 3rd week this season as the wide receiver 1 on the week. He has been unbelievable. 11 catches on 14 targets for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Almost was a bigger day if he didn't, go to the locker room and then come back for that 4th down, and Quentin Johnson ends up scoring the touchdown. It's like he was nearly in there for a 3rd touchdown of the day, nearly a hat trick, but he was awesome. On the other side there, Amon-Ra St. Brown continues to be incredible. 30.5 fantasy points, 8 catches for 156 yards and a touchdown, couple yards on the ground there. Former Lion TJ Hawkinson lit it up. 30.4 fantasy points, nearly all of it in the first half. He had 10 for 100 and a touchdown or something in the first half, something like that. It was a great way to start my morning going up against TJ Hawkinson. That was fantastic. What a great start to Sunday. And his quarterback, Josh Dobbs, 27.1 fantasy points. Wes, actually, real quick, just got to give some more flowers real fast to my streamer this week in my work league, Sam Howell. I was not able to grab a win in my work league again this week. I now have 2 losses, but I'm still in first place, so it's okay. Sam Howell, 30 fantasy points. He continues to just. I remember, Wes, we talked about it. We were like, how many more times is he going to throw the ball 50 times? And apparently, it's every game. We were like, wow, he's great when he throws it as much as Brady did in his final year. How much is he going to do that? Come on, he's Sam Howell. And then he does it all the time. So I guess this is just, I mean, I'm considering not dropping him. We'll see. Yeah. And then Josh Dobbs. Let's talk about him real quick, Wes, because some people are having some conversations about, hey, Josh Dobbs has been freaking awesome. Like, what are we doing here? What do we do here with Josh Dobbs, Wes?
Well, I want to just kind of provide some of the context. This is a request. Some people were reaching out to us like, can you please answer the question, do I start Josh Dobbs over X quarterback? Because right now, we're about to head into the final stretch to make playoffs for our teams, and Josh Dobbs could be your answer. Yeah. So I'm going to rattle off. How does this sound? I'm going to rattle off some quarterbacks, and then you say that player or Dobbs if you'd rather start them. Okay? Start with some of the easier ones just to make it clear of who Josh Dobbs shouldn't be started over.
Wilson.
But Josh Allen.
Oh, okay.
Zach Wilson,
start Zach
Josh
Wilson,
Allen.
I would still start Josh Allen.
Of course. I know he had a terrible game on Monday night, but still start him. Jalen Hurts.
Yep, still start Jalen Hurts.
Tua.
Still starting Tua.
Justin Herbert.
Let me provide some context real quick. Yeah. I know Tua is up and down, but Tua is quite literally 3 plays away from a 30-point fantasy week any given week. With how
any
this offense
play
goes,
could be a touchdown.
3, right? Yeah. So if he hits 3 plays in a game, it's 30 points. So I'd still go Tua. What was the next one you said?
Justin Herbert.
I would still go Justin Herbert.
Yep. Joe Burrow.
I would still go Joe Burrow.
Okay. Dak Prescott.
I would still go Dak Prescott. His schedule down the line is fantastic. It's unbelievable. And
the way CeeDee Lamb is playing, you got to roll out Prescott. Okay. So to me, those were also some of the obvious ones. And now here are a couple of borderline ones. And then I'm going to close with 2 that I think you should start Josh Dobbs over. And I want to hear your reaction. Okay. So here are the middle bar here. CJ Stroud or Josh Dobbs?
I would start Josh Dobbs.
You would start Josh Dobbs. Could you please explain? Because I think I would go Stroud.
Yeah, I think we've seen 2 very good games and a season full of very, very good quarterback play from CJ Stroud. And I know he did run in a touchdown on Sunday, but Josh Dobbs has the rushing floor, and it's pretty unbelievable. He has 25 plus rushing yards and a touchdown in each of his last 4 games played. Like he has essentially, and 25 is the low end. Usually those other 3 games are between 45 and 65 rushing yards. So he has the 8 to 14 point rushing floor on him pretty much. And so I believe that provides the value for Josh Dobbs to remain over CJ Stroud. We've seen some really good weeks from CJ. And this team is legit. They look very good. I think the Texans have a chance to make the playoffs, if I'm being honest. But I would still go Dobbs over CJ Stroud right now.
I think there's a chance that CJ Stroud does get into a 30 to 40 point game every now and then, just with the way he's been balling out. And if you want to go with a higher ceiling, I think Stroud is an option. But just as you're saying, the rushing upside's crazy. Josh Dobbs is 2nd in quarterback rushing yards this season.
Insane.
And he's tied for 3rd most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback.
I think
he's crazy good.
I think Josh Dobbs is playing his way into a contract extension from the Minnesota Vikings.
Dude,
I'm so serious.
I thought about that.
If they make the playoffs, I don't know how they can sit there and go, yeah, no, we're going to move on. Like Dobbs is doing
just
something
the age
for them.
difference.
Yeah.
The age difference between him and Kirk Cousins. Like, there's going to be a team next year that is, in their mind, a quarterback away from making a run. The way that the Jets attempted to try to do this season with Aaron Rodgers. there's going to be someone out there that's going to say, look, we need to just get a quarterback to get us through. We've got the defense. Maybe Cousins is shipped. And
Cousins
Josh
is a free
Dobbs,
agent this offseason. So he'll.
he's a free agent.
Right.
Then.
So he'll. I hope he gets a contract somewhere with someone. I wonder how willing teams will be to bring in a 38-year-old quarterback off of an Achilles tear. I think he's 38, I believe.
The Colts would.
Probably.
Did it 3 years in a row.
Yeah. Rivers, Wentz, what's it? Ryan. Gosh, that was terrible.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Josh Dobbs is fantastic. Let's go. Let's continue, Wes. You said you had a couple more.
Okay. Yeah. Sam Howell. Or Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, I think I'd still go Dobbs. I think I would. I think there are going to be enough games for the Vikings where they need to they need to remain in the game. Same with the Commanders, I believe as well. But I just like the weapons on the Vikings more. That's actually pretty close. That's almost closer than C.J. Stroud and Josh Dobbs for me. But I think it's a little. I think it's a little tough. But I think I would go Josh Dobbs over Sam Howell.
It could be matchup circumstantial. If you're the player that has only Sam Howell and Josh Dobbs as your quarterbacks, I think you're okay no matter who you start. But let's say they're both on the waiver wire for whatever reason still,
Yeah, I'm going Josh Dobbs. If they're both there for me
just
and I need
the
a
rushing
quarterback,
upside.
I'm going to go Josh Dobbs, yeah.
Okay, last one, because I didn't say his name, and he's arguably the best player in the NFL, but would you start Josh Dobbs over Patrick Mahomes? There's a pause. How about that, huh? You probably can't. You got so much upside with Mahomes.
You can't. I think I don't know if we're riding a high. I don't think we're riding a high with Josh Dobbs. But if I had Mahomes,
I'll tell you
Mahomes on my team, and Josh Dobbs is on the waiver wire, I would put in a claim, not to drop Mahomes, but I would add Josh Dobbs to my roster if he was available. That's where I'll put that at. I mean, with Mahomes being past his bye week, I don't know how you can ever look at a matchup and go, that's a better one or whatever. But especially with we've seen Mahomes be disappointing for the last two, but then he had a few going there that were like, yeah, this is the guy we drafted.
Right. It's recency bias from Mahomes because in week 9 against the Dolphins, it was, and I'm reading off a 6-point scoring for passing touchdowns, less than 20 points, 19.8. So you subtract, another 4 points, you're looking at a 15-point game from Mahomes. Week before, 5 points, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I think it's the Broncos. So we got those two in our back of the mind. It's like, Mahomes has been kind of down. Week before, it was 41 points. Yeah. So you roll out Mahomes, even though he's been kind of down. Okay, last two.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you why you should start Josh Dobbs over these two players, and I want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
I think you should start Josh Dobbs over Trevor Lawrence. Josh Dobbs, last 3 weeks, is, again, 6-point scoring touchdown, 27 points per week the last 3 weeks, all right? He's on a roll. Josh Dobbs is great. Trevor Lawrence has never had a 22-point game this entire season in 6 points. If you do 4-point scoring for passing touchdowns, which most people are doing, Trevor Lawrence has yet to put up a 20-point game.
Yeah.
Not even 20 points. So I think you should start Josh Dobbs over Trevor Lawrence. What do you say?
I'm dropping Trevor Lawrence in a league that I have him in this week. I am.
Oh my goodness.
I stashed Kyler Murray, and I was pretty excited about seeing what Kyler did on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. He looked good. Fantasy performance may not have been everything we hoped for, but he did look good. Looked good running the ball. I have zero reason to keep Trevor Lawrence. He has been a great professional NFL quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars this year.
Right.
He has been a terrible
6-3.
He's been a terrible fantasy quarterback this year. I am so disappointed in how his year has turned out. Absolutely, you start Josh Dobbs over Trevor Lawrence going forward.
If you have Trevor Lawrence and you don't have Josh Dobbs, get Josh Dobbs or you're making a mistake. That's kind of how it feels right now.
100%.
Last player. think maybe we need to consider starting Josh Dobbs over Lamar Jackson. All right. It's been 3 straight weeks for Lamar Jackson. Here's my pitch. Lamar, 3 weeks in a row, is averaging less than 13.5 points in a 6-point scoring system. You subtract a few more points and a 4-point, and it's even worse. Josh Dobbs is on a roll, and you look at the way the Ravens' rushing attack is, they are moving with anybody that carries that football. And Zay Flowers, as good as he is, not much is happening there. Mark Andrews had another down week, and OBJ is non-existent except for one lucky touchdown. I think it's legitimate to start Josh Dobbs over Lamar Jackson right now. Might be recency bias, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, what's the reason we all love Lamar Jackson? We love him for fantasy football. It's the rushing upside, right? Josh Dobbs has had better rushing upside than he has over the last 4 weeks. He's done more. He's done more with his legs than Lamar Jackson has. And he's I don't know, let's say a more talented passer, but he has, I believe, better weapons. He has better, a better scheme to fit a fantasy football quarterback, maybe. I agree. Absolutely. I think if you're a Lamar Jackson owner and you're not thrilled with how your weeks have been going, Josh Dobbs absolutely should be a guy you could maybe pick up off the waivers, maybe try and make a trade for. Keep Lamar. Don't get rid of him. Maybe things turn around. He's always Lamar might be like the Tyler Lockett of quarterbacks. Like it might just be like when you draft him, you know that it's going to be hot and cold. You know you're going to get your 10-point games. You also know you're going to get your 40-point games. Like it's just that sort of thing. So I think I'd rather take Jalen Hurts, who has the safe floor and the elite ceiling. So there you go about that.
One last point.
Yeah, go for it.
And then we finish up the rest of our show because we still got a lot to do here. Okay, blind test. Would you rather have the quarterback that has Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, or do you want the guy that has Zay Flowers?
Right, yeah.
And do you want the quarterback that's second in rushing yards and third in rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, no, yeah. It's
Josh Dobbs, baby.
Exactly what you're saying. Yeah, no, it completely adds up. The weapons are incredible. Todd Monken's letting us down with this passing attack. Gosh, friggin' Monken, dude. What a jokester.
Funkin'
Munkin, dude. Funkin' Munkin. Listen, Josh Dobbs is fantastic. If you have the ability, go get him. He might come up in waiver wire. You never know. We'll get to it in just a second. Let's talk about letdown real quick because there's some players that disappointed us. Gus Edwards. Yep. Hey, he was my dud for week 10. 9.8 fantasy points. What I said was the Cleveland Browns are giving up very few rushing touchdowns to running backs. It's not a good look. It's not a good matchup. If you start him, you're hoping he falls into the end zone. What did he do? He fell into the end zone. He had 24 rushing yards and a touchdown and 1 catch for 4 yards. 9.8 points. If you're in desperation mode and you went Gus Edwards and you were like, he scores touchdowns. You're right. He does. He only scores 9.8 fantasy points, though. So there might be a shifting of the guard there in Baltimore. We'll have to see. Thursday night's going to be fun. Excuse me. Travis Etienne stopped scoring multiple touchdowns in a game. So that happened. 6.4 fantasy points for him. Rough day at the office for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Sam Laporta. Bummer day for him, man. It was not exciting. 8 fantasy points. I just let down. Not worried, just let down. Mark Andrews, 6.4 fantasy points, 2 catches for 44 yards. I was shocked when I saw this stat line because I saw the few highlights that I saw on Red Zone from the Baltimore Ravens. It was like, I think there were like 2 Mark Andrews catches. And I was like, man, he's having a day. And then I was like, oh, I saw his entire production profile for Sunday. That's it. Cool.
Yeah.
6.4. Disappointing if you have Mark Andrews for sure. Let's talk about some Buffalo Bills, Wes. Monday Night Football was interesting. We talked about it. And Josh Allen just had a bad game. Started out rough with the strip of James Cook there on the sideline on the first play of the game. And then we come back, and Josh Allen throws an interception, albeit, and it's tough for me to say this because diehard Dolphins fan here, AFC East rival, but fantasy analyst here. Pick wasn't his fault, the first one. First interception was not his fault. It was just, maybe it's his fault because he has such a strong rocket of an arm, but like he hit Gabe Davis in the hands, and Gabe Davis went straight through. Like
That's fair.
He didn't. It wasn't really his
I
fault.
want to play devil's advocate again, just because he did throw an interception before. That interception, the defender just didn't get his feet in bounds, so he was.
That is true. Actually, yeah, he looked terrible. Yeah, it was nearly a 4 turnover night for Josh Allen. And then the second interception, just so dumb. I don't know what they were even like that. I know I know games don't come down to one play, but like that was just weird too. Like that allowed the Broncos to go down and kick a field goal at the half. Just weird stuff going on for Josh Allen. This Buffalo Bills team is 5-5, and the only team with a winning record that they've beaten are the Miami Dolphins, who are supposedly frauds because they haven't beat a good team either. The only other teams that the Bills have beaten are the Raiders, the Giants. Wow, I memorized this because I like throwing it out at Bills fans. I can't remember who they've beaten.
Raiders, Giants.
I
got it.
Go ahead. So
I got it here.
The whole talk is,
Raiders, Commanders, Dolphins, Giants,
Patriots,
Bucks.
That's right. They lost to the Patriots.
No, they didn't
lost
beat
to
the
Jets.
Patriots.
They lost to the Broncos. They lost to who else did they lose to? They nearly lost to the Giants. That felt like some sweet justice, by the way. Teron Johnson, the guy who gets away with the pass interference call on Darren Waller in the end zone, is the guy who puts the Broncos into field goal position on a PI call on Monday night. That felt pretty good. Good to see the PI gods come back and get him back for one. Listen, I'm not sure what's going on with the Bills. They're a very talented team. I don't know how they really keep losing. And I think for fantasy, you don't panic. You still roll them out. Obviously, Josh Allen down game 16.4. Stephon Diggs really bad game 6.4. Just 3 catches for 34 yards. Still in Kincaid season, by the way. I don't know if you caught it 3 or 4 weeks ago when we called that out there, but still in Kincaid season, just so we're all aware. He continues to be fantastic.
Love him.
I think the Bills will be fine, but 3 turnovers in a game for Josh Allen is just becoming what feels like a regular sight. And they've yet to beat like a really, really good team besides the Dolphins, who people are questioning. So, and they're losing to bad teams. So there's that too. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying not to go too biased on or anything like that, but I think it's just fair to say, like, what's going on with the Bills? I don't know what the answer is, but it's something we got to figure out.
Don't look at me. I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
I'm just looking here at fantasy, and it's like, gosh, you did bad in fantasy too. Because that's the thing that we like about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert will ball out in fantasy and maybe not even get the win, and you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm going to the playoffs because of Justin Herbert. Right now, you look at Josh Allen, you're like, stop turning the ball over. It's helping nobody.
Yeah.
You're losing, and I'm losing.
Yeah.
More importantly, I'm losing.
Right.
Anyway.
Disappointing stuff for Josh Allen.
That's all I got.
Listen, let's jump into Fluker for real. There's a bunch of people to go over here. Starting out with Brandon Cooks, 32.3 fantasy points. Wes, sign of things to come, or is this just kind of like, hey, it's the Giants?
I chalk it up to the Giants. No offense to the 10 targets, but I got to call fluke on this. I mean, Ferguson did okay, and I know he's going to be good.
Yeah, again, Ferguson did okay, has the touchdown. I got to say
that's a fluke.
Yeah, I want to see it one more week. I'm wondering if defenses are like, we got to cover this CeeDee Lamb guy. And then Brandon Cooks is like,
and we still can't.
I'm open right here. And so then Dak looks there, but the Cowboys are firing all cylinders on offense, except for the run game. So with something to monitor there. Maybe Brandon Cooks, maybe like a speculative ad if he's on your waiver wire, but I wouldn't be going to drop a waiver priority or a bunch of fab on him or anything like that.
Fair.
Couple of running backs in Washington. Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. B-Rob with 27.7 and Antonio Gibson with 16.5. Wes, what do we think on these guys?
I think Robinson's a flex option at best. I mean, 8 rushes, 38 yards. I mean, no thanks. I don't want that.
Yeah.
It's the PPR game, which is just outstanding.
Yeah.
Gibson has always been kind of a PPR guy, but like they both have 6 targets and they both got a touchdown.
Brian Robinson had
who's running back?
119 receiving yards.
119 yards. Who does that? They're running
back.
What are
we doing here?
My gosh!
Yeah, that's.
I mean, are any of these other wide receivers more receiving yards? It's insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. No. I have a question.
I can't say that's for real.
Go
ahead, buddy.
Because I have Brian Robinson, and somebody in the league that I'm in is just frustrated with Derrick Henry. Do I send the Brian Robinson for Derrick Henry offer just to and try and get him here, keeping in mind Derrick Henry plays the Houston Texans twice in the fantasy playoffs.
Dude, keep it in mind, this Texans team is not the Texans team.
I guess you're right. I guess you're right. But
this is not the AFC South. He knows.
Yeah.
I don't believe in the Titans. I think Will Levis had a wonderful debut, and it's kind of been a flatline performance ever since. I still think the Titans are a rough team.
Bring back Tannehill.
I don't like Derrick Henry's odds. Bring back Tannehill, please, for fantasy. But no, I'd rather keep Brian Robinson than Derrick Henry if I have the choice.
Game script feels like the Commanders are always going to need to be kind of like trying to score.
There's just gave away 2 of the best defensive players in the NFL. And they're like, we've got this.
We're good,
All
guys.
right, we've got so many more to jump through.
Noah Brown, 24.4 fantasy points. Another week. Last week we said, do it again, let's see. What do we think now on Noah Brown?
He did it again. Sign me up. That's for real.
I think he is a very talented player, and I think they spent this offseason involving him. I don't know if you recall, Wes, he got hurt in week 1 and was out for a while.
That's right.
And now he's back, and it's like, oh, maybe he's like a primary guy for them. But it's also been, he's been back, and Nico Collins was hurt. And he's been back, and Nico Collins was out. And he was back, and Robert Woods was hurt. So now I'm just a little concerned on what happens when Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Robert Woods and Noah Brown are all healthy. But if you got Noah Brown on your team, you're feeling good. It might be a late season push here with the Texans. Might help you out with some playoff victories. We'll see what happens.
I like him.
Tyler
Maybe because
Lockett.
I won with him, I like him.
Yeah, he's a very talented fella. Tyler Lockett, 23.2 fantasy points, 10 targets. We're on the season where it was like I called him a dud, and now 3 out of the 4 weeks since I've done that, I'm pretty sure he's been like a top 20 receiver, top 15 receiver each of those weeks. Is this just more of what he does? Yeah, he's just up and down, up and down. I mean, I'll tell you this. I don't think we're going to see DK Metcalf in the top 15 wide receivers this year, but I think we'll see Tyler Lockett. This has been a bad
I was
year
a
for
year
DK.
early.
You were.
I said DK was a bust last year. Turns out DK is a bust this year. But
yeah, I had him in my top 10.
He had a pretty good game.
He's been so bad. Hey, Devin Singletary, another Houston Texan here. How about that? 30 carries for Devin Singletary on Sunday. 23.1 fantasy points, 150 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. What do we think?
I think it's the same thing as we said with Javonte Williams a couple weeks ago with hey, you want to keep Mahomes off the field, you run it as often as you can. I like Singletary probably a little more than Dameon Pierce, though. I'll admit that. Yeah. But this offense is clearly pass focused.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever touching 30 carries again in a single game, ever. That was a career high for him. So I don't think he's ever touching 30 carries. I don't think he's ever touching 30 carries again in a game. But I think if they play the Cardinals this upcoming week, and I wouldn't mind if Dameon Pierce sat out again, because I've got Devin Singletary in the league, and you can run all over the Cardinals. So that's a fun time.
Sure.
We'll see what happens here. Yeah, this is probably his best game of the season. We'll see what happens. Javonte Williams, you just mentioned him, 21 fantasy points, 21 carries. He seems to be taking over the backfield here, 79 yards, 4 for 4 in the air. with 31 yards and a touchdown. I think this is for real. I think we're flirting with Jaleel McLaughlin for a little bit. He seems to take the third string spot back even from Samaje Perine. Samaje Perine seems more involved now. I think Javonte is the back to own. I think this is for real, and I think he's going to be involved when they want to win games. And this is 5 straight wins for the 3 straight wins. Sorry, this is 3 straight wins. 4 straight wins. This is 4 straight wins for the Denver Broncos now.
Something.
And Javonte Williams has been gearing up a little bit, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
Trey McBride, Wes. This is a guy we got to break down.
Okay.
He does it again. He 21.1 fantasy points, 8 catches on 9 targets for 131 yards. Is he like the next big thing, or is this like, hey, Kyler was nervous and needed to get a safety net option?
I don't know, man. I mean, we thought about the way Zach Ertz was with Murray, and he just seemed like a good option, and it just felt like that. This tight end spot is good. And I think we'll see a Marquise Brown big game. I think we'll see Rondale Moore big game, but I think we can rely on Trey McBride. 21 points for tight end is amazing.
Yeah, incredible.
If you were to tell me, your tight end's getting 14 points, I'd be like, yes, slide him into my starting lineup right away. So I feel good about Trey McBride.
Yeah, and here's one more thing I'll say on him. I asked if he was a safety net. No, he's not a safety net. He's the reliable guy, because I don't know if we all saw that final drive, but that final pass to him when Kyler sent it up and Trey McBride made a great adjustment, came back for it to put him into field goal range. That was unbelievable. So he is definitely somebody that has Kyler's trust, and he's out there for sure. Tyler Boyd, 19.7 fantasy points. Wes, I mean, we've been on this guy for weeks now, for more than weeks now. This is for real. As far as I can tell.
This should have been like 26, 27 points. He dropped the game when he touchdown for the Bengals. It should be even more.
He was a dropped touchdown away. It just bounced off his hands. He was a dropped touch. I wrote this down. He was a dropped touchdown away from being the wide receiver 5 on the week. A dropped touchdown
Absolutely
away.
For real.
So this is for real for Tyler Boyd. Jaden Reed, 19.4 fantasy points. Not exciting stuff to roster any of these Packers offensive players, but he seems to be maybe the most reliable wide receiver option for the Green Bay Packers. I know early on it was Romeo Doubs, but he's getting a lot more looks lately. And so, I mean, maybe for real, but I mean, I don't like the Packers.
I'll put him on a watch list at most.
Yeah, I don't like the Packers.
I'm not going to. When am I going to start them?
Right.
When am I going to start a Packers wide receiver at this point?
Yeah. I'll tell you who you want to start, and that's this Pittsburgh Steelers running backs. Jalen Warren, 19 fantasy points. Najee Harris, 18.6 fantasy points. Nearly a 50-50 split on these guys. They're using them well. I think this is, we've been here. We've talked about it. This is for real. I think this backfield is one of the better ones, one of the better tandems in the NFL. And it's exciting stuff to see for sure. Great to see Jalen Warren have a really good game.
Yeah. Nothing to add.
Yeah.
If you got them both, I mean, you can legitimately start Jalen Warren as well.
Yeah, 100%. I've got a bye week. I've got Alvin Kamara on a bye week this week, and I do believe I am throwing out Jalen Warren in my running back slot. So it's going to be good stuff. Actually, I may not be. I do know that they're playing the Cleveland Browns, so I may not be doing that. I will have to wait and see. I'm not sure. It's going to be the Steelers are going to lose on Sunday. I know that. That's a
dude.
fact.
You want just you mean you're going to doubt the 6-3 Steelers? Okay, they got. You kidding me, dude? They got the same record as the Dolphins, okay? Why don't you back off just a little bit, pal?
Dude, why the hell do they run the tush push with Kenny Pickett? What is going... Dude, those attempts look so putrid. It is terrible. It's so bad.
They're 6-3. Dude, you shut your mouth.
It's like 4th and
Those
2.
are my Steelers.
It's like 4th and 2, and they're like, hey, you know who would be good for the tush push right now? 200-pound Kenny Pickett. Let's go ahead and just sit... Someone... At this point, they should just have Najee Harris pick him up and throw him over the defensive line. Just be like, hey, we got it. Then
I'd watch that.
Yeah, I probably would too, actually. Bijan Robinson, hey. It was something. That's what I'll make of this performance. It was something. 17.6 fantasy points. He scored a touchdown. Arthur Smith gave it to him, and he scored. It was great.
He did.
Do it more, you freaking idiot. Why are you corner Patterson the football?
He's got the ball so many times.
What are we doing?
Patterson on the field way too much.
It's ridiculous. I don't get it.
Like, we're still complaining. Yeah. 17 points. We're like, that's not enough.
Yeah, 24 opportunities on Sunday, and we're like, more. Or like Kyler Ray, like, more. Just
more.
Yeah.
More.
It's just ridiculous. DK Metcalf, we just mentioned him a little bit ago. 12 targets for DK. The targets are always so high. That's the thing. The targets are always like way up there. I think it's like one catch for 50 yards. And that's pretty much it. But DK Metcalf, 16.8. I'm going to say fluke. I can't trust DK Metcalf.
I am too.
I can't trust him.
Not this season.
I'm in a league where I have DK as my fourth wide receiver, fortunately, because Puka ended up being very good. And I have Stephon Diggs and Keenan Allen. So I'm fortunate enough to not have to like make the decision on DK, and he's just waiting on my bench and bye week fill in, injuries, whatever it is. But it's like so easy for me to look and be like, nah, DK can stay on my bench. Like I'm not feeling good about it.
Wild.
24 end zone targets in 2022, and he's just been so bad this year. So disappointing stuff. Elijah Moore, 15.4 fantasy points, gets in the end zone on a little bit of like a shovel touchdown, almost a extended play sort of thing there. I mean, I think this is fluke, but I can understand.
I was excited about him going into the year. I was excited about it. I thought he was going to be like a Debo type player with all the trick plays, but this is a fluke. This is just division game. That's 100%. What I chalk it up to.
Totally. Michael Gallup, 15 fantasy points on 2 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Fluke. There you go. That's how that one goes. Jalen Guyton. 6 targets in this Chargers offense, but a handful of them actually did come when Keenan Allen was out of the game. His touchdown came when Keenan Allen was out of the game. I'm not really buying in on it. I think Quentin Johnston is still ahead of him, so that's a fluke. Tyler Conklin. This is something maybe we talk about. 7 catches, 7 targets for 70 yards. He seems to be the number 2 for Zach Wilson which Zach Wilson made it number 2 on Sunday night. So that was real bad.
Sick
poop jokes. We're at that point of the season. There you go. Tyler Conklin, 14 fantasy points. I think this is worth a waiver ad, maybe, if he's there on your wire. He seems to be getting looks, and he seems to be involved in when the quarterback is bad, they throw the tight end. So there you go. Unless you're Daniel Jones.
True.
That's all I got to say on that. Yeah, Rico Dowdle, 13.9 fantasy points, 12 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I think the Cowboys were just up in this game. I don't think Rico Dowdle is anything, but I'll say one thing that he is that he's a touchdown scorer, and Tony Pollard isn't. So
I'll tell you what, I'm intrigued by Rico Dowdle, though.
Yeah,
if Tony Pollard isn't going to do what he should be doing, I'll keep an eye on him.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're keeping an eye on him. Keeping an eye on Rico Dowdle. I actually had him in our Trollers League, and I dropped him to pick up somebody else. I don't remember, but I had him this week even, and just on the maybe he will be something, and I wish I had him in my lineup now. So there you go. Ezekiel Elliott, 10.8 fantasy points, 13 carries for 54 yards, and then 2 catches for 34 in the air. This was pretty cool. Zeke looked good on Sunday. I think he was running the ball well, and I don't know if it was just a product of the Colts' poor run defense, but he was looking pretty good. He was somebody. I mean, I don't know if you remember. I started Ezekiel Elliott over Gus Edwards in a league this week because Gus Edwards was my dud in week 10, and it paid off. I scored a
that was a
more.
1 point improvement. Yeah. I'll also say, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson missed time, but I still look at that, and I'm going to say, if he's still on the waiver pool, I want to get some shares in Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. I think he's looking good. Yeah, so that's for real.
Yeah, always a threat to get in the end zone too. He gets some of those touches inside the 10-yard line. Whenever they make it there, they don't do it a whole lot. Demario Douglas, fellow Patriot, 14.4 fantasy points. For real. This is legit. Demario Douglas is the dude. Trenton Irwin, 13.4 fantasy points. 2 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. 2 great catches. One of them went for a touchdown. One of them was a key first down pickup. Fluke. Sorry, Trenton. Fluke. It's fluke. There you go. And last one, Keaton Mitchell. Hey, he was my speculative ad last week pick this guy up. Let's see what happens here. It's a tough matchup against the Browns, but we'll see what happens. Dude, takes his first carry of the game for like 30 yards for a touchdown. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? I think I texted you and I said, this dude is Devon Achane light. He might be this good. And then he only gets like 5 more opportunities the rest of the game. I know he had a hamstring injury during the week. At practice, he was limited. Maybe they were just trying to limit that, but I don't know. When you see somebody have that kind of performance, I believe he has probably surpassed Justice Hill in the depth chart here. I think Justice Hill has been jumped here by Keaton Mitchell.
I hope at least.
And I got some bye weeks, and I'm heavily considering the risk of Keaton Mitchell on Thursday night. It's definitely scary.
I mean,
but it's a little risky.
Maybe we'll talk about it. Carry he's got. How many yards per carry Keaton Mitchell has
on the season? Well, this was over 10.
Yeah,
I know it was over 10 in week 9. So, like 12.
You're too low.
Am I really?
14.3 yards
he's
per
awesome,
carry.
Dude. He's got the explosiveness. He when he runs, he does. He looks like just a little bit less explosive version of Devon Achane. Like he really does. He looks really good. So it's
pretty good.
If he's on your waiver wire still, no brainer. Go pick him up. But he's a guy that is very interesting going forward. So talk about some of the bad guys here real quick for Fluke or for real. West, Lamar Jackson, we already talked about it, 15.02 actually. This is disappointing, but it's what you signed up for with Lamar. So I don't know what to tell you. You kind of knew it was coming. Yeah, so there you go.
And our previous, at the top of the episode, we talked about starting Josh Dobbs over Lamar Jackson. Other than that, I don't really think there's anyone else you would actually slot in to replace Lamar Jackson. If you're someone that has Tua Tagovailoa and Lamar Jackson, you've probably been starting Tua for several weeks now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know who else people actually own with Lamar Jackson that they could legitimately start someone else over. But this is it. It's what you got to deal with.
Yep. Derrick Henry, 3 fantasy points. That's disappointing. And that's Derrick Henry, hot and cold. There you go. It's Derrick Henry this season. Hot and cold. That's what you get now. And if you drafted him, you took the shot. That's what you're signed up for. Alexander Madison, 4.3 fantasy points. Goes out with the concussion during this game. But he seemed to be, we were splitting reps there with Ty Chandler for a little bit. And we wondered if he was going to take over just again as the workhorse back since Cam Akers was gone, or if it was going to be more of still a split just with Ty Chandler. And that's what it looked like. So I think it's some interesting stuff going forward. Whenever he does return, we need to see what it looks like in that backfield. But I'm a little worried if I'm a Madison owner. So that's where I'll leave that.
I had a feeling last week. I said it's probably the best chance to sell Madison while you can. I just didn't know what it was going to look like. Right. And I thought maybe JJ was going to come back. And this is, but I mean, even before the concussion, this was the stat. I mean, the concussion was late in the game. So like this was the stat line. This is what he had. And so, unfortunately, I just missed on this, man. I thought he was going to be top 10 easy. I thought he was going to be a great running back, feeling great for Dalvin Cook. And this has not been at all who he was when he was even just Dalvin Cook's handcuff. So, I got to say this is for real.
Yeah, disappointing stuff for Alexander Madison this year. Deontay Johnson, oh, what a letdown of a week. In my league where I lost by 7.8, I had Deontay in the lineup. Felt really good about him. Was excited to put him in the lineup, and it's just a letdown. But better days to come. I believe he still is the top guy. I mean, it was even announced, it was tweeted out at kickoff of the game that George Pickens was not announced with the starters of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the pregame there. So he still ended up actually being the highest snap count receiver in the game, but he was not listed as a starter. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Some drama going on. James Conner, 7.3 fantasy points in his first game back, 16 carries for 73 yards. Expected to see him a little more in the passing game, but I'm not worried. This is nearly 5 yards of carry on the ground, and this Cardinals offense is going to be needing to score points because the Cardinals defense is real bad. So that's pretty much where I see it with that. If I had to guess too, I don't think he was on a full snap count. I was seeing much more of Keontae Ingram and Tony Jones Jr. than I wanted to see. I was like, what are we doing here? This is just weird. I don't think Connor was on a full snap count. I think he'll be fine going forward.
Murray's first week.
Yeah.
I think we're okay. I think he'll be just fine.
I think he'll be all right. Tony Pollard. Talked about his backup in the good section of Fluker for real. It's time to bench Tony Pollard. I'm so serious. Like, you can't keep rolling him out in your lineup. It's weeks upon weeks of us going, the touchdowns are going to come. When are they going to come? Because they're not coming. They're not there. He had 2 goal line carries, and he was stuffed on both of them by the Giants. The Giants suck, if you didn't know that. They're bad. They're real bad. It's I don't understand what's the deal with Tony Pollard and why all of the other offense around him is explosive. And he's like, I suck. That's where we're at with Tony Pollard. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Whispering in McCarthy's ear.
Yeah. He gets one of the headsets from the sideline. He's, hey, Mike, I suck. I'm real bad.
Tony,
don't let me score touchdowns. Get out of here, dude.
No.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I think you have to bench him. Wes, you're a Tony Pollard owner. Are you in a position where you have running backs that could start over him? Or am I crazy talking right now that it's like, you got to keep rolling him out? The landscape of the running back position is so terrible.
Let me take a look.
You got to keep playing Tony Pollard. It's just he has probably. I mean, I don't know if he's specifically lost you weeks, Wes, but he has lost people weeks over the last month and a half. He's been so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have some solid running backs. I don't know how I got away with this, but I also have Jahmyr Gibbs, Brian Robinson, Alexander Madison, and I've got Devon Achane. So I'm going to roll out Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane and call it a day.
I traded you Jahmyr Gibbs, I believe. So I think that's how that happened.
Yeah, you gave me Tank Dell.
I gave you Tank Dell and Jahmyr Gibbs for James Cook.
And James Cook, yeah. And Sean McDermott is the reason you're losing.
Yeah, brilliant trade at the time. But right now I feel real
At the time, I was like, I get some more running backs. I don't mind. Okay, look, I mean, Tony Pollard is not the guy, and the Cowboys offense is firing all cylinders in the air. And it's not through Tony Pollard at all. So I think we can.
They're up by so much on Sunday, and they're like, you know what we're gonna do? Throw the ball. They're like screw it. They're like the Dolphins. They're like, keep going. Yeah. And then it's like, hey, Cooper Rush, you're in, bud. Okay, we're just gonna hand it off. Okay, keep throwing it. Just keep throwing the ball. What are we doing?
Penny Cooks, run a 9 route.
It's so weird. It's we heard all these reports of like Mike McCarthy wants to slow down. He wants to run the ball more this season.
Dude, the whole offseason.
And it took him like 7 weeks to be like, yeah, screw that. We're just gonna air it out. We're just gonna keep going. That is so dumb.
And they're great. Yeah. They're so good in
dude.
the air.
I can't believe I'm saying it. It might be their year. Finally, I feel like a Cowboys fan. It might be their year. Finally.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, it's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about him already. Trevor Lawrence, 2.1 fantasy points in this game. I said it. I'm dropping him this week. I think he's a drop candidate. I think there are better options out there on the waiver wire. I would feel better starting Baker Mayfield on a weekly basis than Trevor Lawrence right now. I hate Baker Mayfield so much, but I would feel so much better starting him in fantasy over Trevor Lawrence. It's been so bad for T-Law, and it's been a real big disappointment. So, sadly, I mean, 2.1 isn't for real, but like very mediocre weeks is for real. So this is for real.
Nothing to add. Yeah. It's been nothing. I mean, we went into this season expecting Lawrence to be a top 5 MVP candidate, and
he was my QB4. I was so high on him.
I was right there with you, man.
I was so high on him. He's been so bad.
He's been smelly.
He's been real stinky.
He has been, yeah. Go shower and get ready for next year, buddy.
Guy, dude.
You're done.
Saquon Barkley.
You're off the team.
It was the Cowboys. This offense is trying to do more than just give Saquon 40 touches a game, so I get it. But like,
yeah,
I think they were just like, hey, we're gonna lose. Let's not try and just
let's keep you healthy.
let's keep him healthy here. And so like Daboll, the shots during the game, it was like the Giants held their own for like a quarter, and then it was like, this team sucks. This is real bad. All the cutaway shots at Daboll, it was like he just doesn't even look like he cares about this game right now. Like he was it cut to him, he's losing by 30, and he just sitting there and he's
again,
and he's
to
just
the Cowboys.
Okay, well, let's just move on. Yeah, it will be fine with Saquon. This one was sad. Jahan Dotson, last guy here, 0 points, 2 targets. We said we finally got it figured out with them. That the target distribution was
we found one of them.
Figured out. 2 targets. What? And let me scroll up here. Brian Robinson had 6 targets for 6 catches, 119 yards, and a touchdown. That should be Jahan Dotson's stat line. What are we doing here? This is such a bummer, dude.
Never trust a Commander's wide receiver in fantasy ever again.
Yeah, I can't.
This season. All right?
Yeah, I can't.
This is ridiculous. He was crushing it for 3 weeks straight, and it's like nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
I'm pissed.
Big time bum rush right there.
Anyway.
Let's jump into waiver ads real quick. We're going to do this similarly to how we did it last week. Wes and I each have a really pretty easy, clear top waiver ad that you need to, it's just reminding you like, hey, if this guy's there, go get him. Going to give you that real quick and then just give you a little bit of an under the radar ad, somebody that maybe isn't everyone's talking about, maybe isn't the main guy everyone's targeting that you could go ahead and go for. So Wes, tell me who your clear waiver is real quick, and then let me know who the under the radar ad is.
The clear waiver wire is Keaton Mitchell. Just double check to see if he's available because this guy is insanely talented. Yeah. He is Devon Achane light. I love what's happening. And the running back position is pretty rough.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna pitch something. We talked a little bit about it already in this episode, and I don't know if you're going to agree, but I want to just kind of feel this out with you a little bit. I think you should keep your eye on Rico Dowdle. With the way Tony Pollard is not performing, just keep your eye on him. If you've got a droppable player on your team and this late season push, we just mentioned that Tony Pollard could be benched.
Yeah.
Right? And Pollard, over the last 3 weeks, has averaged 7 points. He hasn't scored since week 1. He hasn't rushed for over 55 yards since week 3.
Yeah.
Like, Tony Pollard is not just not getting fantasy points. He's not doing well.
Yeah, bad.
He's not doing well as a running back. And that's hard to admit and hard to swallow because we all had high expectations. He was a second-round pick. I'll admit, Tony Pollard is on the border of being this season's biggest bust in fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, for things, outside of major injuries, this is a legitimate candidate. Look at Rico Dowdle, which had as many carries as Tony Pollard. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. Pollard has been averaging 3.9.
Yeah.
I think Rico Dowdle has a chance to be the Tony Pollard to Tony Pollard's Ezekiel Elliott if things don't slow down. So I'm going to keep a tab on Rico Dowdle. I don't say you go put a waiver wire for him, but if you can pick him up Wednesday morning for free, I would consider it. So that's my pitch. Keep an eye on Rico Dowdle. We'll see what happens next few weeks if he's going to turn out to be a playoff surprise.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm in agreement with both of those guys, obviously Keaton Mitchell and then Rico Dowdle. I think he's seeing the chances. He's getting his shot, it feels like, and I feel like I've seen him a little more over the last few weeks. And he's doing a lot with it. He's doing some good stuff with it, and for whatever reason, they cannot figure out what's going on with Tony Pollard. So I agree with you, Wes. He is on the verge of being this season's biggest bust in fantasy. So I'm with you. Yeah. I agree. There you go.
Just see.
Yeah. My clear waiver ad here is Josh Dobbs. I mean, he's rostered in 59% of leagues on Sleeper. Feels criminally low still, given that he's a top 7 quarterback in fantasy, I believe. He's been awesome,
yes,
and he's getting someone by the name of Justin Jefferson back soon. So better things to come somehow, some way.
Yum.
But my under the radar ad is going to be Ty Chandler, his potentially new split the backfield running back. And what I believe will be actually the lead running back in Week 11 against the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. Monday night or Sunday night, one of the two, on primetime. He matched Alexander Madison for carries until Alexander Madison got hurt. And at the time of Madison getting hurt, Ty Chandler had 8 rushes for 40 yards and a touchdown, 5 yards a carry. He was doing really well. He had the Wildcat touchdown inside the 5-yard line, I believe. It was very close to the end zone there, but they put him in a position where it was like, hey, we're giving you the opportunity to score. Like this play is designed for you to get in the end zone. Let's get it. He's good. He passes the eye test. He's quick. He's got some juice. I think Ty Chandler is really interesting. He ended the game not as efficiently, but it was really because the Saints defense knew that they were just trying to run the ball a whole lot. I believe he ended with like 13 carries for 50 yards or something like that. It wasn't anything great, but I think interesting things are here for Ty Chandler, especially I'm actually rolling Ty Chandler out. I've already decided to roll Ty Chandler out this week with some bye weeks.
Wow.
And some spots where I think we just saw, even on limited time for James Cook, and we've seen all season what people can do on the ground against the Denver Broncos. I think Ty Chandler has an opportunity here. So should be interesting stuff there, but those are a couple of Minnesota Vikings there in my waiver wire this week.
So in our first season last year, we were going through some of the preseason heroes, players that we were talking about that we liked. In 2022, Ty Chandler had a really great preseason, and I've always remembered that because it was like, dang, Alexander Madison and then Dalvin Cook. Like, when is Ty Chandler going to see that football field? Because I thought he was really good, and I wrote it down. I was like, that's someone to keep in mind, and it was like, no, he's never going to touch the field. Well, now if he gets his opportunity, he could be not just Week 11's starter, but he could be splitting that backfield as a tandem legitimately. Like, I thought he was good last year in preseason. I was like, that guy is good. So I'm happy for him to have an opportunity to try to be someone for this team. Maybe it turns out in fantasy, we'll find out, but I do like this under the radar. Just keep a tab on these running backs, and hopefully it helps us out in the playoffs. I like it.
Definitely. Let's jump into a Thursday night preview, Wes. Go some must starts, risky starts, and don't starts real quick before we close it out. My must start for Thursday night is Tyler Boyd. T. Higgins is not going to play. Tyler Boyd saw 12 targets. That was double any other wide receiver on the team. And the only person closest to him was Tanner Hudson, tight end, with 7 targets. Tyler Boyd already seeing targets, even with T. Higgins in. With T. Higgins out, we see him a lot. And like I already said, he is a drop touchdown away for being a top 5 wide receiver on the week for Week 10. Tyler Boyd, it's a pretty easy no-brainer for me. He is going to be involved in this division game that should be pretty exciting on Thursday night. So Tyler Boyd is a must-start in my opinion.
It is such a no-brainer because he's also my must-start for Thursday night.
Double down.
Control, double down, baby.
Come on.
The only way this gets spoiled is because it's Thursday, and Amazon Prime ruins everything.
Right. The game's going to end 3-2.
We'll see. Yeah, but oh my gosh, that would be so funny. No, I mean, and even just another little nugget for Tyler Boyd's potential is that Jamar Chase is still dealing with a bit of a back injury, and I know Chase had a pretty solid game, so I'm not too worried about that. But if you just want even more information as to why Tyler Boyd is going to be super solid Thursday, there you go. So yeah, double down, must start Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, 100%. There you go, double down with you. And we're hoping for good things for Tyler Boyd. We see it happening. My risky start is Zay Flowers, wide receiver on the other side of the ball. Listen, I was encouraged by Zay Flowers this week. Good to see him have a better game and some more big plays than we had seen in the past. He averaged nearly 15 yards per reception. I saw a good chunk of deep routes there. And he barely missed on what would have been like a 40-yard touchdown. It was just a little bit overthrown by Lamar Jackson. Sent it Honestly, when I watched it, I was like, yo, Zay, that's one you got to pull a Marquise Brown on and just lay out for that one. And just, you got to grab that one. But very close there to a big shot there. And I think those shots are going to be coming because I think Odell Beckham feels more comfortable in the slot where Zay Flowers was playing. I think they're going to put Odell there more. I think Zay will see more outside. It's risky because my only concern is that that's not the case with Odell, and that this is a one-off, and they just continue to keep on using Zay Flowers around the line of scrimmage and do these little 5-yard outs and all this stuff, and he ends up not doing anything. But I think in a divisional game of high-powered teams, I think it's worth the risk. I think this is a risk with an upward trajectory. So risky for Zay Flowers, but I think it will be a good game for him.
I hope, man. I really want to see Zay Flowers have another big game.
Yeah.
It just feel like that. It's been a couple of weeks.
Get him in the end zone, man.
And he can do it.
Give me the end zone. One touchdown.
What was it? They were in London? Was that the last time they
scored a touchdown on American soil? He's like Kyle Pitts in his rookie year.
Jeez.
So dumb.
Jeez. Hopefully this pans out, but I mean, I like him. So, yeah, I mean, flex option at best, though, yeah?
Definitely. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Who's your risky start for Thursday night, Wes?
Good risk. I think you have a shot to roll out Keaton Mitchell and see how many touchdowns he gets on Thursday because golly, is this guy exciting to watch. And if he gets the ball, it could turn into a 30, 40, 50, 70-yard run. And the only risk is he's not getting the ball a lot. And maybe that changes.
Yeah.
Maybe Harbaugh finally looks at what Keaton Mitchell's doing. It's like, oh, my God, he's good. We should give him the ball. And if that happens, Keaton Mitchell is like a 33% chance to get in the end zone every time he touches it, is what it feels like. So I really like him. And I only have him in a dynasty league and I auto drafted at that point. So I didn't actually like consciously make that call. But I got him.
Yeah, there you go.
If I have Mitchell, I want to roll him out, man. Yeah. I want to see what he does. Even I don't care the defense.
I've got him in a few spots. And I'm it's close for.
Put him in.
Still making the decision on it.
Just start him over McCaffrey.
Yeah,
bench McCaffrey for Keaton Mitchell.
No, I agree. I think it's a risk. I think you just need to see where we hope that John Harbaugh just does not ignore the obvious that this guy is explosive and he needs to be seeing 10 to 15 touches and opportunities a game instead of 5. So that's the hope, and we'll see what happens there. But Keaton Mitchell is certainly a candidate to go for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns on 3 carries. So there you go. That's where he's at. Sure. My don't start to close us out is Trenton Irwin. It's too much of a risk to start your week with him. I understand T. Higgins isn't going to play, but targets are being funneled to Tyler Boyd. And then Tanner, the tight ends, apparently, those guys saw a lot of target, 13 between all the tight ends on the team and Jamar Chase, obviously. So I also expect if they're in a position of holding a lead that Joe Mixon becomes more involved. Trenton Irwin, I know he had a big game the first time T. Higgins was out. Not as big this time. Trenton Irwin is a don't start. I just think it's not worth it.
My don't start is Trenton Irwin. I know T. Higgins is out right now, but the targets are being funneled to the tight end. I think 13 this week. And I know he had a really good week when T. Higgins was out the last time, but it's just not worth it right now.
Let's go, dude. 2 fourth control double down for Thursday night. I love it. Tyler Boyd. Naturally, now this is what it's going to be. Trenton Irwin's going to score 40 fantasy points, and Tyler Boyd's going to have 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's how this is going to go. Yeah, clip it right now, you guys. We'll come back to this at some point. Hey, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We're always having a fun time with you. Let us know what you think. Are you willing to start some of these more pronounced and established quarterbacks over Josh Dobbs? Drop it in the comments. Let us know. While you're down there, like, subscribe, ring the bell. Follow us on all our social media at 4th and Troll and on Facebook at 4th and Troll Fantasy. Always dropping content for you guys out there. We will catch you on Friday for a Week 11 preview and a hopefully fun Thursday night recap. We will see you guys then. My name is Noah Selby.
And I'm Wes Selby.
And this has been 4th and Troll Fantasy.
Fourth and Troll Fantasy is a production of FQ Media and Selby Artistic Workshop.